ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।
Dear friends, welcome back to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. And we have completed, as it were, but it is never complete. But for the sake of speaking, we have completed, as it were, the chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita. We are now to study the 5th chapter. Now, to give you a bird's eye view as to how the ideas, man-making, character-building ideas, which will help us to transform our egocentric personality into the divine. That is the goal of human life. Other goals and ambitions are worldly, they are transitory, they keep on bringing back to this world over and over and over again. This education, known as spiritual education, based on experiencing, not only intellectual conviction. You have to experience it. As you experience in our worldly life, we are angry, we are happy, we are sad, we are annoyed, we are disappointed. That is an experience generated by interacting with the world. This experience is a different type. This experience lets me experience my true original nature, Prajnanam Anandam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that, based on the devoted, dedicated, determined, disciplined way of life by means of which I evolve from a egocentric human being full of faults and failures, frolics and frailties. This human being evolves with the divine, into the divine, and merges with it. He doesn't get annihilated. He doesn't get lost. He knows I am, but now he knows in reality, who am I, what am I? That is the distinction. The Bhagavad Gita is a classic. And just for giving you an idea, it has 18 chapters, the first to the 18th. And each chapter is nomenclatured, named. The first chapter is known as Vishada Yoga, chapter where Sri Krishna, in a few shlokas, explains to you what problem Arjuna faced. Now, from the worldly point of view, Arjuna is a highly successful worldly man. He is a Kshatriya, class of defender of faith and justice, equity and fair play. The rule of law is in his command. He has to see that the society is guided by a rule of law, not an anarchic society. So from all points of view of worldly assessment, Arjuna is an extremely successful person. Now, to cut a long story short, if you know the epic Mahabharata in a nodding manner, a time came when, having exhausting all avenues of negotiated settlement, a time came when there was no other way but to put the evildoers in their proper place, and to put them in their proper place, a war has to be won. So, the two collaterals, Pandavas and the Kauravas, they were arraigned against each other, and he who wins the war wins the whole tradition of India and the Indian landmass. It came to such a pass. And Arjuna, known to be the best warrior, the best general, he was at the helm of affairs of the Pandava forces. Fortunately enough, Lord God Sri Krishna, the incarnate God in human form, he took the side of the righteousness, not the evil. So he said, look, I will not raise any weapon. At the most, I can be Arjuna's charioteer. Now, in a warfare in those days, managing the movement of the chariot was an excellent art in itself. So it is now symbolic. Sri Krishna became a charioteer from the worldly point of view, conducting the war. At the same time, he became the charioteer of Arjuna's thought process, the chariot of his thinking. So the first chapter is defined as Vishada Yoga, chapter of sorrow. Why that sorrow? Arjuna, till the day he arrived at Kurukshetra to start the war, he was totally confident of himself that he will win the war and destroy the evil forces. But when it came to the crunch, we find he loses his courage, he loses his self-confidence. And to such an extent, he looks back to Sri Krishna and he says, "Oh, aho vat mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam," indirectly telling Krishna, couldn't you stop me from doing this cardinal sin for the greed of my throne of India? I am prepared to kill all my dear and near ones, including Bhishma Pitama, my affectionate grandfather. What were you doing? Is that the way you guide me? He pats himself on the back. Oh, good Lord, right in the nick of the moment, this wisdom has dawned onto me, and my good friend Sri Krishna had never guided me. So he alleges him. What were you doing? Thank goodness that I am now aware that it is a grievous sin to kill your near and dear ones for the greed of the throne of India. That is the essence of the first chapter. Not only that, slowly and slowly, as you know, once an idea comes in your mind, it keeps on flowing, one after the other. So ultimately Arjuna says, Najotse, I will not fight this war. I will withdraw this war. I'll withdraw from this war. I will withdraw from this world, this kingdom, this empire. I would prefer be a mendicant monk. I live in the hills and dales away from it all. I do not want any advantage of my kingdom. I'd rather be a mendicant monk. That's what it is. Vishada Yoga. Arjuna was in such a quandary. He did not know what to do, what not to do, but he very well knew that he will run away. As if running away, escapism and defeatism is a way to live. He thought that is the best. So Sri Krishna, in a masterly fashion, without rebuking him, without scolding him, without forcing him to the warfare, he starts educating Arjuna. Kutastva kashmalam idam vishame samupastitam. Arjuna, where from did you acquire this darkness of understanding which has put you in such a quandary that you do not know what is good for you, what is bad for you? You have lost your sense of discretion, discrimination, and you are in total darkness, and which is leading you to do something which is not the duty of a Kshatriya. That is how he starts. And he inspires him. But Arjuna was so convinced, he started arguing one after the other, telling Krishna that his decision is right. Krishna allowed him total freedom to unburden his thoughts and present day thinking. And ultimately, Arjuna left his bow and arrow, put down the quiver where the arrows are kept, and he says, I am not going to fight. This is my considered opinion. The first chapter ends there. Second chapter is known as Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga does not mean the Sankhya school of philosophy. Those who have a nodding acquaintance with 6 schools of philosophy, they are Sankhya school of philosophy, Yoga school of philosophy, Nyaya school of philosophy, Vaisheshik school of philosophy, then Purva Mimamsa school of philosophy, and Uttar Mimamsa or Vedanta school of philosophy. 6 schools of philosophy, Sharadarshana. Now the Sankhya, this chapter, second chapter, is known as Sankhya Yoga. Here Sankhya does not mean that darshana, that school of philosophy. Here Sankhya means Sankhyate anena iti Sankhya. This is the definition of the word. analytical analysis of a situation without your personal likes and dislikes. That is rational, analytical pursuit of the reality behind the appearance. Reality hidden behind the appearance. By way of example, I see a rope. I don't identify it as a rope. I see a snake in it because of similarity of size, shape, the way it is lying down. It is dusk, I don't see, and I know from instinct of self-preservation, a snake bite is fatal. So I see a snake there. And I create the snake from my imagination. The snake is not there. Snake was not there. The snake will not be there. It is a rope. But because of my misjudgment, misconception, misunderstanding of the reality, the rope, I have created a snake in it. And when people come with light and sticks to help me and hit the snake 10 times and sees no, I would say, physical response, no wreathing and etc., they look with the light and they say, "Oh, you have fooled us. It is a piece of rope, not a snake. And you shouted a snake, and saved me." Through all that process going through, we ultimately come to know the reality that it is a rope, not a snake. It is a piece of oyster shell, not a piece of silver, shining bright like silver in sunshine. We make all such mistakes in the world. Mistaken identity, misconception, misunderstanding. So, Sankhiyate anena iti Sankha is Sri Krishna in this chapter analyzes it in such a manner that he tries to convince Arjuna that your final decision to run away from this warfare is wrong, is full of error. It is perpetrating a sin because you are not performing your duties to the society. Society has brought you up as a Kshatriya. Society has brought you up, looked after you, given you all that you want in this world, and now you are not serving the society by doing your duty as a Kshatriya. So he starts from the worldly point of view. And the excellence of the teacher is he does not spoon feed you. This is ultimate wisdom. Drink it and forget it. No. He creates a doubt in your mind. Am I right? Am I right? Why? It creates a desire in your mind to grow beyond your understanding. This is an excellence of a teacher. The teacher does not scold. Teacher does not stop your independent thinking. But the teacher says, Arjuna, I understand what you have to say. Have you understood what will be the end result of your decision? The two armies are ready to start a war facing each other. You told me to take the charioteer in between the two first row so that you can see who has the temerity, who has the cheek and the spleen to raise weapons against me. Do they not know who am I? Kair maya sahajodhyamaz asmin rana samuddhame senayorubhayar madhye rathan sthapaya he achyuta. These are the words of Arjuna. Take my charioteer in between the two fighting armies and let me see the faces of those people who have the temerity, the spleen, the cheek to raise weapon against me. Do they not know who am I? This was his attitude. And Sri Krishna, in a masterly fashion, said, "Oh, you want to see? Come, I'll show you. Here is Bhishma Pitamaha, who is in the opposite side of yours. You have to kill him. Here is Drona, your teacher of armory. Here is Kripa, your teacher statecraft. And here are innumerable relations, like your father, like your uncle, your maternal uncle, like your brothers and cousins and etc., as your nephews. All of them are there. You have to kill them. Go ahead, have a look." And immediately the blood relationship got hold of him and he lost his courage and died. So the second chapter, the second chapter, analyzes the situation in such a manner, and Sri Krishna puts in one idea after the other into Arjuna's mind so that a doubt rises in Arjuna's mind. I am right. He was cocksure. He was absolutely sure he was right, and he was sure he was going away to be a mendicant monk. And now Sri Krishna brings in a doubt in his mind, shakes his so-called false sense of conviction, and ultimately makes Arjuna to say that, look, karpanna dosha upahata svabhava prichhami tvam dharma sammuda cheta jas shreyasyat nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteyam sadhi mam tam prapanna. 4 lines of a verse. What is the essence? He says, look, a miser who sits on a mountain of wealth, but a miser does not know how to utilize it. That is why he is a miser. My condition as of now is the same. I know I have this prowess. I know I have these faculties, rationality, emotionality, ingenuity, and a determination, which are the 4 principal aspects of human personality. I am aware of that. I know I am a warrior, a fighter. I have put the gods to shame by my prowess. But now at the present moment, I am like a nincompoop. I do not know what to do, what not to do. Will you please kindly help me out of this quandary? I take shelter under your benign guidance. Sadhi mam tam prapanna. So you see now, psychologically, let us be very, very introspective, because it is Sankhya Yoga, analytical interpretation of the situation. Sri Krishna, that dogmatic decision of Arjuna, that hard decision of Arjuna, I will not fight, I don't want my kingdom, I will not face all this, I'll be a mendicant monk, I'll be a sannyasi. So Sri Krishna said, oh, would you? Now listen, Arjuna, the war is almost declared, and now you run away from the war field. People will say, Arjuna is a paper tiger. When it came to crunch, he ran away with his tail behind his legs and he ran away. He's an escapist, he's a coward, he's a defeatist. Are you prepared to face that? Who wants to face that ill repute? Sri Krishna didn't talk philosophy. He spoke from the worldly point of view. Would you like to face this ignominy? That till the end of human society, you will be branded as a paper tiger, a coward, and you are not at all worthy of anything. Would you like to be that? So slowly and slowly, Sri Krishna broke the back of Arjuna's misconceived sense of sannyasa and made him humble enough to fall at his feet and say, will you please kindly help me out in this situation? How do I live my life? Therefore it is said that Gita is a treatise where teaches all the student of the Gita how to live in this world. Sri Krishna chose this background as a worst case scenario. We keep on facing challenges and we always try to find out a very pleasant, comfortable way, and we are not prepared to pay the price of our principled convictions. We'd like to sidetrack. Under garb of high-sounding philosophy, which Arjuna did. I will not repeat the whole thing. You have read it before. You can read it again. Hear the talks that have been recorded for you. Coming to that, the main theme is a student must be made receptive so that he is now modest enough, humble enough, knowing full well whatever he has, he does not know how to utilize it properly to benefit out of that situation. This is what happened to Arjuna. So, Sri Krishna starts the philosophical aspect of the second chapter. And he starts in a very wonderful worldly manner. Asochvan anvasochastam. That which is not worthy of lamenting upon, regretting upon, you are lamenting and regretting on that. And at the same time, you are talking tall words of wisdom as if you want to teach me what is right, what is wrong. Pragya badangsha bhashase. You are behaving in a manner which is not beholden to you, doesn't behove you. You are doing it that way. Asochvan anvasochasam. That which is not to be regretted upon, you are regretting. And at the same time, you are talking tall and advising me that I should say, yes, Arjuna, what you want to do is excellent. But remember, one who is dead when he is alive and when he is not yet born, nothing matters for that. It is a usual story of the world. You do not know where you were. You now know what you are born for. And after you die, nobody knows what happens to you. This is the world. This is what death and birth is. And you are scared of the death of your near and dear ones. Think of how wise you are. Putting it in his coat. And slowly, he asks a few questions, and Sri Krishna explains. And ultimately, the closing of the chapter, he explains to Sri Krishna what is the state. He explains to Arjuna, what is the state that frail human, full of foibles and mistakes and follies, this frail human can achieve, known as a sthita prajna, whose wisdom is absolutely, solidly poised and ensconced on the identity of his own true original nature, the Atman, the soul. Sthita pragyasya lakshana. And when he said something about it, Arjuna was very, very inspired. He wanted, please kindly tell me, how do you describe a sthita prajna? What is his behavior pattern? How he lives in this world and how he conducts himself with whole world. Please kindly tell me. And the second chapter ends with that. But the fact of life is, you hear so many noble things, but you remain what you are. Victim of circumstances. We have been listening, I am the soul, I am the Atman, I am beyond all this, I am in an ecstatic divine bliss all the time. This is my true original nature. Prajnanam Anandam Brahma, Satchidananda Swarup Atma. We have heard it 1,000,000 times. But it doesn't change my personality. How do I go about it to become a sthita prajna? That is how the third chapter starts, the chapter of Karma Yoga. The art of converting your egocentric activities into interaction with the divine, convert the concept of work into worship. That is the secret. And how does he start? He says, look, Arjuna, just like in our worldly education, we start from childcare. We graduate into a kindergarten. Then we go to a primary. Then we go to our secondary. Then we go to our higher education. And the first education is the end of 12 years of study. 12. Then we go to uni for graduation, post-graduation, if you want to be a research scholar, a doctorate. See how from age 5 or age 3, how you slowly achieve that place. It's a gradual transformation of your personality by giving you life building, character building, man-making ideas. And you absorb them, and the more you absorb them, you are better than the other. This is what the world is like. Similarly, in spiritual life, dear, you can't jump into the concept of sannyas. To become a sthitapragya, you also need a proper type of schooling. Sri Krishna says here, na karmana manarambha naishkarmam purushoshnati na cha sannyasanayateva siddhim samadhigacchati. Absolutely without any ambiguity, without any doubt or question. What does he say? Without understanding how you are conducting yourself as of you are at present, how you are conducting egocentrically in this world. How knowing full well that, how you can convert with ideas planted in you, how you can convert your day-to-day work, whether it's a janitor or a high-level priest or a world teacher, makes no difference. That concept of work has to be wiped out and merged with concept of worship. That is the first step. And that will slowly and slowly convert your egocentric personality to a personality who is aware of the presence of the divine, and the divine is the all and everything of the world. And he is the goal of my life. I have to not annihilate my ego. I have to rediscover my ego, which is already there. Not an invention, it is discovery. Invention is something which is unknown. Discovery is something which is there, of which you do not know. So that process of discovery has to go through a process of proper educative care. Karma Yoga, the third chapter, teaches you, first you analyze how you live in this world, how you move and have your being in this world, without any favor or fear about yourself. You will find you are a pathetic picture. You are being kicked around by the circumstances of your world, whereas you say, I am one with God. That is what you say, and in practice, you are being kicked around by the world. You are a victim of mood swings. That's all that you are. So, Karma Yoga teaches you that. And then, Sri Krishna is talking with such an authority. And to justify the authority that he has, in the fourth chapter, known as Jnana Yoga, the chapter of knowledge, intellectual conviction, there he starts saying, in reply to Arjuna's question, Sri Krishna has said, look Arjuna, this concept of Karma Yoga is not my present day brainwave. I, as a teacher, has taught it to Marichi and etc., who are thousands of years away. They are in history. And immediately, Arjuna's eyes flick up, pops up. You are my cousin brother. You and me are blood related. Only you are born a few years before me. That's all. how can you claim that you have taught Marichi and Aditya and others who are 1,000 years before you are in my time? Now don't be mad. Don't talk something which is senseless. Sri Krishna willingly said so. So that Arjuna asked him, who are you? You are my cousin brother, you were born the other day. Maricha and Aditya and others were born thousands of years ago. And you say you have advised them about Karma Yoga. Now, come to your senses. Too much of everything. Sri Krishna wanted that. So now in the beginning of the 4th chapter, which we have just completed, Sri Krishna starts explaining the famous concept or theory of Avatara Tattva or Avatara Bhad, incarnation of the divine, which is a fact of history. And he says, look Arjuna, you and me, we have been born over and over and over again. You don't remember anything of it. I remember every bit of it. Because I am that absolute, I am that Parameshwara, it is I am everywhere. And when I see my children going wayward, away from me, going astray, being given those divine qualities, they behave like animals and beasts. I can't hold my patience and my compassion anymore. My compassion forces me to be born a human over and over and over again, as and when time this wants me, and I am born to help my children to find their way back to their Maker in heaven, or to manifest the divinity which is already within themselves. These are all symbolical words. To go back to the Maker in heaven so that you may enjoy eternal peace in paradise. That is what the Bible says. This is what Vedanta says. Till you are taught to manifest the divinity already within you and you experience that. Pragyana, Vijnana. So, dears, Sri Krishna in the 4th chapter, known as Jnana Yoga, Sri Krishna establishes them. And all through, in the 4th chapter, you will see, he is occasionally referring to the art of Karma Yoga. Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, he is trying to balance and blend it together. And in the last two shlokas of the 4th chapter, we find he is preparing to introduce the 5th chapter to us. What is that 5th chapter? Let us see these two shlokas. We have studied in great detail, but let us just a quick review of it. Yoga sanyasya karmanam jnana sanschinna sangsayam atmavantam na karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, you have to be atmavantam. You have to be poised in the excellence, the majesty, the greatness of your own true original nature, the excellence of your own personality. You have to be totally poised on it by your experiencing. How will you experience it? Yoga Sanyasya Karmanam. Egocentric activity has to be now converted into work is worship. Today, work and worship, two different categories. Now, intellectually, I know work and worship. Work is worship by conversion, and the concept of work disappears. The flow of life is an endless worship of the divine. What is that worship? Intellectual conviction converted into an unstoppable motivation, and motivation motivates me not to think of the ego, but to see the hand of the divine everywhere, see his smile everywhere, feel his presence everywhere, and see his hand everywhere. Yoga Sanyasya Karmanam is that egocentric human, through the process of Karma Yoga, Yoga Sanyasya Karmanam, the egocentricity has been totally renounced. And Jnana Sangshinna Sangsaya, and there is no trace of doubt now. My intellectual conviction, which is rock solid, crystal clear, has converted itself into unstoppable motivation. And I have achieved the goal by that motivation. How? I am Atma Brahma. I am the Atman. I am Prajnanam Anandam Brahma. I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa Brahma. Jnana Sangshinna Sangsaya. Doubtless. Then only you will become Antavantam, Atmavantam. And as that, when you work has no effect on you. You are not a victim of egocentric expectations from the world. You have freed yourself from the bondage of the world, and the bondage is expectation from the world. And what is the last shloka, dear? Tasmat, that is QED in our geometric theories. Therefore, conclusion. What is that conclusion? Tasmat ajnana sambhutam rishtam jnanasinatmanaha chitvaina sangsam yogam atishta uttishta parantapa. Now the procedure is being said. What is that procedure? Rishtam ajnana sambhutam sangsaya. 4 words. I'm paraphrasing the verse. Well within you, in your personality, what is known as your chitta and buddhi and mana, that doubt is very, very cleverly concealed. It is not reachable easily. Now you know this doubt is the cause of all misery. Doubt that I am the divine. That doubt has to be totally removed. How do you remove that doubt? Jnana Ashina. Your determination, that with my determined willpower, with the help of my capacity of rationality, emotionality, willpower, and with my ingenuity, I work out my destiny. And with that, I establish myself in my own glorious, majestic, excellent nature of being one with God. And you get arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. That is how the 4th chapter concludes. Now the 5th chapter. As usual, Arjuna is listening. Jayasi chet sannyasam karmanam Krishna punarajogam sasangsasi jashriya etayorekam tanme bruhi shurishtitam. Previously he had said that please kindly explain to me thoroughly what is karma and what is sannyasa in the previous chapter. Here also he has raised the same question. What does he say? Once you say sannyasa karmanam Krishna, yoga sannyasya karmanam in the last but one chapter, sloka, and punarjogam cha sangsasi, and you say you be a yogi. Dear me, I am confused. Don't talk to me in riddles and enigma. Jat Shreya, Etarekam, whatever is better of the two. Tanme Bruhi, please tell me without any ambiguity, what do I follow? I'm really confused whether I would be a karma yogi. And what is this concept of sannyasa, which you are not allowing me to do, to run away? Running away is not sannyas. Sannyas is the rejection of expectation from the whole world. I expect nothing from the world. I've rejected all offers of expectations. The world promises this. I'm not bothered. I'm only bothered to know myself. So that is how, dear, the 5th chapter starts. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna says, what does he say? Sannyasa karmanam Krishna. Hey Krishna, in one breath you say karma sannyasa. What does it mean? Remove the ego from your day-to-day flow of life. That is sannyasa. That is, the work that I do today is full of expectation. Let me make an example myself. All this howling and shouting and studying the Gita for 1 hour, I am giving up my very best. If I am not aware, there's a small grain of expectation is growing within me. If I am not aware, alert, it grows without my knowledge. And ultimately, it's take a concrete form. What is that? After the class is over, you come and tell me, oh Swami, it was wonderful. And I hit cloud 9. My expectation is fulfilled. And you honestly come and tell me, Swami, you did your very best, but we all went above my head and I fall on mud with a thud. Oh dear me, all my efforts are gone. That expectation makes me swing like a pendulum between happiness and unhappiness, ecstasy and agony, sorrow and happiness. All the time. To reject that expectation is karma sannyasa. And punarjogam cha sangsasi. And you say, be a karma yogi. So karma sannyasa and karma yoga, it seems to be two different paths. Please kindly don't be enigmatic. Don't talk in riddles. Tell me straight away, plainly, with no ambiguity whatsoever, sunishitam, absolutely confirmative manner, between the two, which is the best. That is how the 5th chapter starts. So, we stop here today. In the next Sunday class, we'll carry on with the 5th chapter. Enough of revision, and now we are in a position to understand the distinction between karma sannyasa, karma yoga, and the goal is to be sthita prajna. And the definition of sthita prajna has been described in the 2nd chapter, and we had not spared our pains to study that to the best of our ability. Thank you, dears. Thank you. May God bless us all, and we meet again next Sunday.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna